Huh. Been a while since I've done one of these. So, this is gonna sound off topic, but trust me, it does have a point. A quick question for you all. You know those mobile games that are just jumbled together with pre-made assets made to resemble really popular viral games? You know, like all the different Hello Neighbors or FNAFs that float around the Play stores? You know, the ones that show you more ads than whatever the hell this copyright-friendly thing is? Right, so, another question. Do you guys like to laugh at how bad these games are? I'm gonna go ahead and guess that you probably do. You probably don't find yourself getting miffed or upset that these titles aren't, showing their fullest potential, because you legitimately do not care about the game. I mean, why would you? I bring this up because it leads in well to this video's disclaimer and a motto that I go by. You are never angry at something that you don't care about to some degree. Oh, I'm gonna be late to work?
Oh man.
Oh, they didn't put pickles on my burger? The point that I'm getting at is, I kind of like this game. Like a lot. In fact, the only reason my content has been sparse lately is mostly down to other games and procrastination, rather than burnout. And because I like this game, whenever it does something that I feel is harming it, I tend to make videos regarding these issues under the false assumption that my opinion means anything to it. It's like being a fucking step-parent. In other words, yeah, I am about to rip on the game, but I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't care about the game. And also, to be completely fair, a number of these are either jokes or are down to the players, so I'll just color code the number of a gripe whenever it's meant to be a joke or if it's outside of the game's control anyways. And hey, a lot of the problems in the 2 previous Sin videos have already been addressed, so I'm sure a number of these will be in the future too. So the game is clearly improving. So what I'm getting at is, this is mostly just riffing on the game for fun, and you should go in knowing that most of this is either nitpicky or personal gripes, and the actual big issues will probably be fixed anyways. Just kidding, none of that matters. I hate this game, and it needs to burn in hellfire! This is an open letter to all rhinos who play the Index. I get where you're coming from. The shiny glow of the Tic Tacs that enemies drop are alluring, and only someone with the big, strong stalk muscles, such as yourself, can handle the debuffs obtained from holding too many. And when you get so many circling you that you start looking like a watermelon with worded up muscles, it's probably a good feeling. And you know, my IQ is only 4, so who am I to judge a big brain gamer such as yourself? But I do have a small request to make, and I want to let you know this as gently as possible, since we all make mistakes, even those with an IQ of 10 such as yourself, but cap your fucking points, you ass! Holy shit, you rhinos act like you're the goddamn sole guardians of the Tic Tac Kingdom, as if neither the Corpus or Tenno should be allowed to have them! I've seen you people putting my ass to shame with how much fucking green you're carrying around! I bet some of you would sell your damn house if it meant you can have an infirmary that's just a bunch of index points circling you. And I know one of you are about to bust in here and say,
we're just holding on to them for the bonus points.
Well, I guess you'll also be needing this, because clearly you can't count! Jimmy, bonus points cap out at 20. So can you please explain to me why you're carrying what appears to be the fucking green giant on your back? And if you think that carrying them and then capping when the counter is almost full will carry them over to the next round, you know, if your team wants to do the next round, there's 2 things that you should be aware of. 1, that doesn't work. 2nd, even if it did it never occur to you that because you're waiting so long to cap your points that you're wasting just as much time as you're saving? Cap your points! Alright, so this one is mostly down to a bit of lore that to this day still has me scratching my head. Am I the only one still utterly confused about this whole shtick? Oh, sorry, did I spoil the fucking Krang people for you? Oh, I apologize, it's only been 8 years! This design of the Solaris people has absolutely 0 sense put into it. Well, actually, there's a lot of sense to it, specifically sight, smell, and sound, and yet you lock this all-important world-sensing flesh dome inside a cubby inside your fucking stomach? Like, do these people do this intentionally, or does Ala just run away with their necks whenever they can't cop up enough schmeckles? So their solution is to... How are these people sustained? I mean, some of their arms are clearly flesh and blood, unless you want to go to the whole synetic limb explanation, so how do they eat? Do they eat? How do they remain hydrated? Do their eyes work? Do they just live in constant darkness looking through some mechanical eye until they decide to open their fucking built-in fast food window?
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
How is Solaris Bebe created? I have so many questions that will likely remain unanswered. Know what's nice about the Wolf Sledge? It doesn't make me want to commit CBT in regards to its charge attacks wind-up. Smiley face. I know that Melee 3.0 is coming out when... Well, probably when Melee Remastered comes out at this rate, but that doesn't really excuse how bad charge attacks have been for so long in general, now does it? Honestly, you're already required to go into a swing before going into a charge up in the first place, meaning that if you just want a charge attack, it can take upwards of 2 to 3 seconds on some weapons, by which point your target has probably been tossed out of the airlock by your Rhino. As I was writing this one up, spoilers, it has to do with Lunaro, I had to look up the name of the Lunaro weapon because I think so little of Lunaro that I honestly keep forgetting that it's a thing you can play, and I refuse to for this video, so you just get me dicking around in the training mode. But anyways, you know what the best thing to come out of Lunaro is? This thing, the Arcata. Its entire purpose is to hold onto the ball, which you can then toss into the goals. But later on, this tool was given the hope of becoming an actual weapon outside of the game mode. Like, really, during DevStream 78, they mentioned that they were trying to make it so that you can take this into a mission and start chucking basketballs at Grenier at one point. Think about it. All 2 people who play Lunaro would actually be able to put their skills to good use. And then, nothing. Gone. Like a fart in the wind. And then later on, our hopes were fully crushed when it was mentioned that they scrapped the idea because
we're struggling with the recall mechanic.
The levels basically are much more complex than the Lunaro arena, so you get a lot of funky bouncing, a lot of lost balls.
So, I'm not a game developer by any means, but could you just write a bit of code that says, if ball stuck on obstacle for X amount of seconds, then it should just phase through said blockade and go back to the player? Or if the player gets too far away, it can just respawn on the player? I'm honestly confused on how this is a problem. How are weapons like the throwing spears and glaives in, but you couldn't do the same for the Charles Barkley-nator? But hey, at least it was officially put to bed. Unlike another melee weapon. When Ghoul saw DE. When Ghoul saw DE. When Ghoul saw DE. When Ghoul saw DE. Time before a personal gripe. You know these menus for spawning shit in the Simulacrum, right? Well, prior to the UI update that pulled the game's interface out of the year 2005 and into the future of UI designs, 2011, spawning mechanics worked a bit differently. If you set the spawn count to say 20, and then went off and killed 8 enemies and then came back, your spawn number would still be at 20. The game would just abide by the 20 enemy cap and spawn in the extra 8 to fill up the cap again. But your original spawn number would stay the same. So if you did kill all 20, you could just come back and hit spawn with no other actions required. What I'm saying is, it's pretty ingenious when a system does what you tell it to and doesn't change its own values on its own. It was a perfectly functioning system. But naturally, DE had the great idea to fix what wasn't broken. Much like Steve's idea to have name labels for items off by default. Hey, what do you need to finish your prime? Well, let's see here. I need another one of whatever the fuck this is! You'll notice that now, if you say, set the number to spawn 20 enemies and then kill a few and go back to the menu, why? It's changed. So, what's the problem here? Well, let's say you're doing HP tests on 20 mobs and you want all 20 so you can just go group to group, and you accidentally splash some mobs while doing testing on another one. Well, no problem. Just go to the console, kill them, and Oh, my spawn number changed. Well, okay, whatever. So you spawn back those few that you killed and continue on. Now, let's say that you actually do kill all 20 targets this time and head back to the menu to spawn another set of 20. Guess what? Yeah. For some reason, it's now deciding to not update the included additional enemies killed. So, you gotta set that number back yourself. I'm aware that this is the nitpick of nitpicks, but the fact that a system devolved for no explainable reason when it would do what it needed to before just fine is why I'm putting it on this list. God forbid a system listens to what we told it to do, DE! This is a shout out to all the navigational systems out there that don't know how to navigate. The waypoint system in Warframe is a part of this esteemed club. Where are you you taking me? I know some people will say that they don't need them or they're not even required to find your way, but A, that is a shitty excuse that doesn't change the fact that a system is garbage and should function in a game that utilizes procedural generation for its map layouts. B, not everyone plays this game to memorize where the next correct door could possibly be. And C, oh yeah, sure, let me just check the 5 possible exits in this tile. Okay, so this is less a sin and more of just a request that I'm surprised doesn't exist yet. You know the Falcor, right? I know the Falcor. It looks cool. I could throw a disc with a pirated version of the 2004 Green Day album, American Idiot, burned onto it. Only problem, it's more or less a flat-out inferior version of the Glaive Prime. So, solution D, weapon transmog system. You know, like Dauntless? Take a weapon and apply its look to another? Seriously, how has this not happened yet? And don't give me bullshit on how it wouldn't fit some weapons. I can have a revolver that shoots ice darts, act like an automatic with 57 shots in the mag, or shoot like a goddamn shotgun. And you can turn the Zenostar into this. I think we're way past weapons looking how they should perform. This next one goes out to all the poor souls who never got to experience the old mining system, in which you could draw dicks everywhere to your heart's content. But, like everything in life, you never know what you have until it's gone. And the ability to draw the lost meme on your friend's back is now forever lost to time. Time for another personal gripe, and one that might be controversial. The Opticore Vandal? I felt like I got catfished upon first seeing it and then actually getting my hands on it. And mind you, I get the idea behind it, a trade-off variant that has the potential to have higher DPS than the base Opticore, but I have 2 problems with this. First, most Vandals are direct upgrades, similar to most Primes. Some do have downsides, like the Imperator Vandal's fire rate nerf. Oh, the humanity. But yeah, the Super Vandal, direct upgrade. The Quanta Vandal, direct upgrade. Dara, direct upgrade. Blaxian, direct upgrade. Spectra, direct upgrade. Prova, direct upgrade. Obviously. So, when the Opticore Vandal was shown off, I was hyped. And then we were shown that its base damage was cut by 60%. Thus, giving this Vandal the honor of having the absolute biggest nerf compared to the base variant to date. To give you an idea of how much this hurts the weapon, an Opticore quarter charge can actually do more damage than a fully charged Vandal Blast. Because remember, negative 60% base damage. The extra crit and multiplier is nice, but that largely only exists to help offset the massive base damage decrease. And I get it, the Opticore base is already really strong. I'm sure a good reason why the rest of the Vandals were direct upgrades were because most of those weapons were, hot garbage. So, I get that. But why couldn't you just, I don't know, micro boost the Opticore Vandal instead? So, like, keep base Opticore and just give it maybe an extra shot in the clip and maybe 5% status. See, this is mostly a personal gripe, as I said. I know plenty of people like it and its increased fire rates and don't like my idea at all. But the thing is, the Vandal feels less like an Opticore and more like a Ferox to me. And that kind of kills the appeal of it. Mind you, I won't sit here and shit on the Vandal all day when it certainly has good attributes going for it. It has a smaller delay between shots, it has a higher status chance, and it has a larger magazine and faster reload. I just think that it's disappointing specifically as a Vandal variant. Feel free to vandalize my anal cavity in the comments below. What kind of sins list wouldn't have the fact that the Squidward Prime trailer is still not finished? This fucking trailer has become the Half-Life 3 meme of this game, and at this point I think DE is just holding off on it for shits and giggles. DE themselves have said that all they need to do at this point is record the voiceovers. Look, I am not one to talk. I upload about as often as the Time Pyramid gets a new block nowadays. But how have you not done the damn voiceover for this thing yet? The trailer itself is done from what we were told. It literally just needs commentary. Okay, D, here's what you do. Outsource the job to OmniVoice, and just be done with it! The fact that I still need an attack macro for the dual Toxicist is taking the piss, D. Just saying. Picture yourself as a new player to Warframe. Maybe you are. And you find yourself interested in an amp. Maybe a little bit of Gara. And perhaps Revenant if you have the same taste as a Trubbish. Whatever the case, you need these things called Cetus Wisps, and a good number of them. So, you hit up your friend, and you ask, hey, where can I farm Cetus Wisps? And they're like,
Oh yeah, no problem. Just go out to the plains, find the lakes and oceans, and walk around each and every one of them and just hope that a wisp happens to spawn. If you want, here's a map of a recommended path to take. Repeat this path a few thousand times and you should have your wisp in no time. You can get them from Anku.
Oh, cool. So what's the going rate?
2,000 standing for one wisp. Hey, you should buy a resource boost.
Far be it from me to judge what DE does with its lighting system. With how often Steve talks about his dev boner for particle effects and reflections, I'm sure he knows better than I. But I do feel it necessary to ask, why does my ship look like cheese now? You know what's sad? When fun glitches get patched, especially when they have no bearing on gameplay. Case in point, after utilizing an old glitch to clip out of balance of your ship, I was able to create me some friends. Some pretty big friends. Of course, now with the bug patched, the fun is over and you can't make any more. Nor can I get out of bounds to retrieve my lads if I ever wanted to in the future. We can't have models appearing overly large, even if said models have zero effect on gameplay, so, you know, we had to patch this before it got out of hand. By the way, I know this wasn't fixed because of people doing this specifically, but that won't stop me from thinking that this was an attack on my urge to fill space with gigantic Lokis. Rest in peace, ship clips. I'm gay! Hey, future trip here. Around the time this part of the script was being written, this was definitely a drama-filled topic. But DE Essence backpedaled and reverted most of the problems I'm about to talk about. But I don't have time to go back and rewrite a different Sid for this spot, and to be honest, we shouldn't let this be forgotten anyways. So, back to your video. Alright, sit down, ladies and gents. I'm about to teach you how to be scummy to your player base. Okay, so here's how it goes. Nerf the ability for loot powers to stack, after having recently released a core augment specifically for that purpose, and then include a mod drop booster a few months later in a new Prime Access. Oh man, this topic is stinking up the community right now, and for good reason. The nerf to loot powers not stacking was already stupid in its own right, since that made pretty much any loot frame that didn't have the best possible loot boost completely irrelevant for loot runs. But the introduction to mod boosters as a way to offset that nerf was what rightfully broke the camel's back. See, credit and resource boosters aren't bad. Credits are easily obtained in the index. Hell, that's the entire reason the index exists in the first place. So even without a booster, you can get guaranteed large amounts of credits already. Resource boosters, sure, there's rare resources, there's resources that disappear, and there's more and more resources being introduced into the game. Like these orange juice boxes here. But let's face facts, there's far fewer individual resources than there are mods. So while undoubtedly useful for things like Kuba, I would say that resource boosters are fine, for the most part. Hell, I'd be fine with mod boosters if it weren't for the stupid actions taken prior to unveiling them. But when you have mods that have drop rates as low as 0.5%, and then nerf players' abilities to make those rates bearable, then try to monetize said rates, of course that's gonna get you put on this list. Why do mods have that low of a drop rate? You know what, that's going on here too. I get it, like free to play and all that, but yikes. And why is 80 Indo worth a legendary drop rate? So the Zealoid Prelate boss, you know, this Howard the Alien looking motherfucker, was actually a pretty fun boss. You wouldn't think a boss who's weak to lancerns would be enjoyable to fight, but hey, it was. And it actually utilized a mechanic that is usually a problem quite well, since most bosses tend to get it wrong. And that problem is way too many invulnerability phases. See, the point of these phases are to prevent players from just mowing the boss down like any other obstacle. And I won't lie, they do serve an important purpose. And it's something the Sergeant boss would probably kill for, if he could actually kill anything. However, there needs to be a happy medium between allowing players to see everything the boss has to offer and not wasting the player's time. You could probably trim down Kayla's fight and still keep its substance. Vayhek could cut down on them as well. Having to listen to Mutilus Salad V spout his bullshit because we can't hurt him due to his Ultra Instinct granting collar could also be adjusted a bit. See, I get that without these phases, bosses wouldn't have the opportunity to strike back at players without being fucking murdered on the spot. But for fuck's sakes, in some cases the boss itself doesn't even use it properly. Vayhek just plays his goddamn radio at us for the most part, Kayla fucks off directly, and Vor just kind of takes a knee. I wouldn't mind the phases as much if they disguised them a bit better. Like the Ropolist. Riding into giant bug zappers is a lot more fun than it seems. I understand that Solaris has a personality that's about as fun as a dentist visit, but the fact that this D-Pat douchebag won't let me infuriate my teammates with my constant playing of Sea Shanty 2 on the Swanson within Sanctuary Onslaught is really unfortunate. Though, ironically, it fits rather well, given that he'd kill the entirety of music outright if he was able to. Doesn't make it okay, though. Dickwad. And the final, most heinous, most inexcusable, most terrible sin this game has yet to relinquish. Imagine not being able to pop your space pimples in current year.